Alright, let's dive into something that's been bubbling under the surface of the media world, the Federal Communications Commission's decision to scrap the limit on broadcast TV ownership. Now, on the surface, this might sound like just another regulatory change, but personally, I think this is a seismic shift that could reshape the media landscape in ways we're only beginning to understand. Here's why it matters and why it's so much more than just a numbers game. First off, the FCC's 2-to-1 vote to eliminate the 39% cap on TV household reach is huge. This rule, which has been in place since 2004, was designed to prevent any single company from dominating the airwaves. But FCC Chairman Brendan Carr argues it's outdated, claiming it puts local broadcasters at a disadvantage in today's media ecosystem. What makes this really interesting is the timing. Streaming giants like Netflix, YouTube, and Amazon Prime are already dominating the market, and traditional broadcasters are struggling to keep up. So, is this a necessary modernization, or is it opening the door to unchecked consolidation? That's the million-dollar question. From my perspective, Carr's argument has some merit. The media landscape has changed dramatically since the early 2000s. Back then, broadcast TV was king, and the 39% cap made sense to ensure diversity and competition. But today, streaming platforms and social media aren't bound by these rules, and they're eating up market share at an alarming rate. Local broadcasters are essentially fighting with one hand tied behind their back. However, what many people don't realize is that removing this cap doesn't just level the playing field, it could tilt it in favor of a few massive corporations. One thing that immediately stands out is the potential impact on media diversity. Ana M. Gomez, the lone Democratic commissioner, called the vote unlawful on its face, arguing that it doesn't free local broadcasters from economic pressure, it just changes who's applying it. And she's not wrong. Companies like Nexstar Media Group, which is already the largest owner of local TV stations, stand to benefit massively. Their $6.2 billion bid to acquire Tegna would give them reach into 60% of U.S. households. If you take a step back and think about it, that's a staggering amount of influence over what millions of Americans watch and hear. This raises a deeper question: what does this mean for the average viewer? On one hand, consolidation could lead to more efficient operations and better resources for local news. But on the other hand, it could also mean fewer independent voices, less viewpoint diversity, and potentially higher costs for consumers. Personally, I think the risk of homogenization is real. When a handful of companies control the majority of the airwaves, the content they produce tends to cater to the broadest possible audience, often at the expense of niche or dissenting viewpoints. A detail I find fascinating is how this ties into the broader trend of deregulation in the media industry. The FCC's move feels like part of a larger push to loosen restrictions on corporate power, often under the guise of fostering competition. But what this really suggests is that we're entering an era where a few megacorporations could dominate not just TV, but all forms of media. And that's a future that should concern anyone who values diversity and independent journalism. Critics like Senator Elizabeth Warren have slammed the decision, calling it a giveaway to billionaires. She's not alone. Consumer advocates and lawmakers have been vocal about the potential for layoffs, reduced competition, and less diversity on the airwaves. What's striking is the legal gray area here. The 39% cap was codified by Congress, and Carr's authority to scrap it is being fiercely contested. This isn't just a policy debate, it's a battle over who gets to decide the rules of the game. In my opinion, the FCC's decision is a double-edged sword. While it could help traditional broadcasters compete in a rapidly changing market, it also risks handing too much power to a few corporate giants. The real question is whether this will lead to a more vibrant media ecosystem or a monoculture dominated by a handful of players. As we watch this play out, I can't help but wonder, are we modernizing for the better, or are we sacrificing diversity and independence at the altar of efficiency? What do you think? Is this a necessary step forward, or a dangerous slide toward media monopolization? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the stories shaping our world. Until next time, keep questioning, keep analyzing, and stay informed.